Hey, what's up, everybody? Fresh Start Monday here. Bringing you another video. Today we're gonna do Colborn Part 2. That was pretty much the most, requested video in a lot of the comments, and when I asked people what they'd wanted to see. So we're gonna go over a couple things with Colborn again. Before we get started, though, I do want to say thank you again for all the subscribers. It's awesome to see my channel growing after doing this for so many years. And I got to start planning on what I want to start doing after making a murder. I definitely want to do more true crime stuff. So if you guys have any suggestions, comment it below on what kind of cases you want me to cover. I was playing around with the Chris Watts case, but for those of you following that, he admitted to doing everything. So I just saw some things before that and thought it was kind of strange. And watching all her live stream videos was very interesting to see the dynamic of their relationship. And but I don't know if I can do one on that anymore now that he admitted it. We'll see what happens. But yeah, going forward, I'd like to do more true crime stuff. Also, if you haven't subscribed yet, make sure you hit subscribe and the bell notifications so you can be notified when I do another video. And one more thing I want to touch on. I see so many comments about me being monotone and, like, am I on Xans or am I high as I can't be that person on YouTube that's like, hey guys, welcome to another video. I'm gonna bring you this, and that. It's bogus. It's corny, and it's not my personality. So you see a lot of people trying to correct the way you are, and I find it very strange. Like asking someone to be different than their personality. So I just want to let everyone know I'm not gonna change, and no, I'm not on Xans. Also, sorry, I have a lot to talk about before I get going here. I'm gonna do a video with Eric Jose, for sure. I'm gonna do it when I get back from California, so that will be sometime after the 27th. So you guys can be looking forward to that and leave a comment below on some things that you might want us to talk about. So I love his channel, love what he does. And so yeah, we'll get started here. First thing I want to talk about before I get into the Colborn stuff is all the tweets that Zellner put out on the 15th. About 20 tweets here we'll go over, so we'll just start with one. On 10/31/05, Scott Toddick visited Bobby at the Avery Salvage Yard around noon. After Teresa Halbach called the Dassey landline for directions, our suspect contacted her back with the Dassey address. Teresa arrived at the Avery Salvage Yard around 2:30 to 2:31 p.m. on 10/31/05. Only Bobby and Steven saw her. After completing her photo assignment, she left and turned west on Highway 147 around 2:38 p.m. Our suspect followed her. Steven was in his trailer. So you see a big, even though we covered the Ryan Hilgis and now the things that pointed to him being the suspect, it's pretty clear now that a lot of her focus is on Bobby Dassey. And if you guys want to check out my Bobby Dassey video, that one's doing pretty well. And that's probably the one I get ripped on the most for being so monotone and on Xans. But, and the audio's messed up, and I apologize for that. But the information is good. Continue here. Our suspect gets Teresa Halbach to pull over. She opened her car's rear cargo door to retrieve her camera, was knocked on the ground and struck with an object. So this is that reenactment they did in season 2. Teresa Halbach was put in the rear cargo area of the RAV4 and driven back to the Avery Salvage Yard. Teresa Halbach's RAV4 was spotted leaving the Avery Salvage Yard with an unknown driver at 3:45 p.m. I don't know who she was spotted with, or who spotted that. RAV4 was left by the old dam west of Mishicot on 10/31/05. 3 witnesses saw the RAV4 up to 11/4/05, then it was gone. Piling all these witnesses, It's all falling down. Recent investigation shows the RAV4 battery died, so it was replaced in order to move the RAV4 on the Avery salvage yard. So that's interesting. You see that the car was there, people saw it, and now we know kind of why the car was there. Teresa Halbach's body was burned in a burn barrel. Dassey burn barrel had human bones. Fact. 60% of the bones and 31 teeth missing. So clear evidence that the body was moved and shifted around after it was attempted to be destroyed. A witness smelled a horrible odor of something burning in Manitowoc County gravel pit the evening of 10/31/05. The Dassey garage was never luminoled or DNA tested. Bobby hung a deer in the Dassey garage on 11/4/05. Sikiki note, body burned at smelter 11/4/05, 3 a.m. Todek worked the night shift at a smelter facility. His nickname, Skinny. Interesting. Teresa Halbach's electronics were not burned in Stephen's burn barrel. They were burned in the Dassey burn barrel. Suspect knew Stephen's finger re-bled on 11/3/05 because he observed it. Suspect had access to Stephen's trailer to remove blood from the sink. Only our suspect knew the blood in the sink was Stephen's and not Teresa Halbach's. This rules out the police. Suspect planted blood in RAV4, bones in Stephen's burn pit, and Teresa Halbach's electronics in Stephen's burn barrel. In conclusion, the killer is the person who had access and opportunity to plant Stephen Avery's fresh blood in Teresa Halbach's car. Use Ask Zellner for questions. So it's pretty cool that Kathleen Zellner opens it up to the public on Twitter and wants people to ask questions. And I think it's a really smart thing for her to be doing. And looking at all those tweets, and everyone's just kind of, it's obvious she's talking about Bobby. So you think, what about Ryan? What about the officers? Because she said police were not involved. This is still in most people's minds, and just speculation, of course. This was one big group effort by a lot of different people to put Stephen away, So let's not get that confused. And with that being said, we'll transition to the next piece of Colborn, and this is going to be the deposition where they were talking about the $36 million lawsuit.
What the subject matter was of this person's call was a statement apparently made to the caller by a person who was in the caller's custody. Is that correct?
We're going back to 94 or 95. I'm a
Sure.
little gray on.
So look at that long pause. A lot of thinking going on in that brain.
Exactly.
And you can use your own report, Exhibit 138, to refresh your recollection if that helps you.
So now he has his own report to look at.
I don't know if the person... I gathered, yes, that they had someone in custody. I don't know if this person had commented directly to the person who called me or had commented to other people within that jurisdiction.
So this is talking about how when the other county had... this is back to Stephen's first time he was put in prison for the rape that he didn't commit, okay? And they had someone else in custody saying that, this is the person, basically. And this is showing that Colborn just kind of brushed it to the side because he knew that Stephen wasn't liked. He probably didn't like Stephen necessarily. I don't know the extent of that, but it's pretty well documented and known that Stephen had some run-ins with the law, and what he was seen as by Manitowoc.
And this eventually got to my caller.
But the detective indicated that there was a person in custody who had made a statement about a Manitowoc County offense, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And what that person in custody had said was that he had committed an assault in Manitowoc County and someone else was in jail for it.
That alone, if you're a good police officer that wants to actually fight for justice and do the right thing, should get you really excited if you're in the position of Colborn, you know. So clearly there's some issue here.
Correct?
Yes, sir.
And that much you're pretty sure of, correct?
Yes.
I mean that's a significant event.
Right. That's what stood out in my mind.
Sure. And you knew by September 12th, 2003, that Stephen Avery is someone who had been in jail for an assault that he had been convicted of, correct? Had been in jail.
Yes.
He was recently released by
Yes.
then.
Mm-hmm.
And then attempted to transfer the call. And do you know whether the call went through to the other detective?
I don't know.
Okay.
I didn't hear somebody pick up, but as soon as the phone rang, I would have hung it up.
So he thought his job was done after he just transferred the call. For all we know, he just hung up, you know. I think there's problems on both ends here. The detective calling not to follow up, and Colborn to see did someone actually talk to that detective? Because they had information about someone being in trouble for something they didn't do, and there's someone else that did it. Is that justice?
Okay. Because at that stage, again, you've given the person the contact information if he chooses to follow up, correct?
Yes, sir.
Did you ever make any inquiries of anybody in the Detective Bureau to find out whether they had received such a call?
No, sir.
Or did you ever hear any feedback from anybody about
sir.
whether they'd gotten such a call?
No, sir.
Exactly.
Okay, so that's what's going on in 2003, correct?
No, the
I'm
call.
sorry, that's what's going on in 94, 95.
Yes, sir.
You then, in 2003, following the publicity that we've already discussed relating to Mr. Allen and Mr. Avery, and you're concerned that perhaps the caller that was calling was speaking about Mr. Allen and Mr. Avery. True?
I was wondering about that, yes.
Sure. You brought that up to someone else, correct?
To Lieutenant Link.
And you and Lieutenant Link had a conversation about it?
Yes, sir.
And in that conversation, is it safe to say that you told him what's reflected in Exhibit 138?
Yes, sir.
Now, there was also a conversation that followed that in which you spoke to Sheriff Peterson, correct?
Yes, sir.
And do you recall that Lieutenant Link was there as well?
When I spoke with Sheriff Peterson.
Yes, was he or not? Do you know?
No, he was not.
He was not. Okay. Who all was there when you talked to Sheriff Peterson? Do you remember?
I don't recall.
I love it how he can just recall certain things but just completely oblivious to other things. So obviously he did not do a very good job of trying to make sure the right person was in trouble for what happened in that rape case. And because it was Stephen Avery, and because Stephen Avery was suing them for $36 million, this was done. So this deposition is very interesting. And, you know, all of it ties in together for so many years back as to why Stephen Avery is in the spot he is, and Brendan, of course. Really upsetting. And you can I just want to show that video just because Colborn's been involved with this for a very long time. Very long, you know. And like I said, it's kind of getting pointed at Bobby. But, you know, it's a whole group effort. We're going to go into the witness now that saw Teresa's car. And first I'm going to show you this text message here that was sent to Scott Todick, December 12th, 2016. I just watched the series Making of a Murder, and I gotta tell you, I need to get in touch with one of their lawyers, as Colborn I saw, sorry, it's bad spelling, art at Cenex, and told him that vehicle was the old dam on Thursday or Friday, and I'm guessing November 3rd was the day he called the plates in. No response. What time is that? 18:13 to 19:41. No response. Hey, give me a call. And all he says is, "Okay, I will. I'm really sick now." Not concerned, clearly, you know. I mean, his stepson is in prison. Wouldn't that make you jump up and get right on that, sick or not? I'd have to be impaled in the gut with something to not be able to go do something like that. This is the poster that the witness saw, and this is the identification he used for Colborn. Now here's the affidavit of Kevin Ramlow. Okay. I'm of legal majority and can truthfully and completely testify to the matter contained herein based upon my personal knowledge. The factual statements herein are true and correct to the best of my knowledge, information, and belief. I am of sound mind and am not taking medication, and I have ingested, nor have I ingested any alcohol, nor that would impair my memory or facts stated in this affidavit. In 2005, I lived near Mishicot, Wisconsin. I'm familiar with the Toddick family because I am acquaintance with Sean Toddick. Sean's brother Scott is now married to Stephen Avery's sister Barb. On November 3 and 4, 2005, I was in Mishicot. I saw Teresa Halbach's vehicle by the East Twin River Dam in Mishicot at the turnabout the bridge. As I drove west on Highway 147. Around midday on November 4, 2005, I stopped at Cenex gas station at the intersection of Highway 147 and State Street in Mishicot. While there, I saw and read a missing person poster for Teresa Halbach. I remember the poster that had the picture of Teresa Halbach and written descriptions of Teresa Halbach and the car she was driving. I recognized the poster attached as Exhibit A to this affidavit as a copy of the one I saw at the Cenex station on November 4, 2005. I recognized that the written description of the vehicle on the poster matched the car I saw at the turnaround by the dam. While I was at the Cenex station, and Manitowoc County Sheriff's Department officer came into the station, I immediately told the officer that I had seen the car that matched the description of the car on Teresa Halbach's missing person poster, the turnaround by the dam. In December 2016, I watched Making a Murder. In the series, I recognized the officer I talked to at the Cenex station on November 4, 2005. A photograph of this officer is attached as Exhibit B of this affidavit. Having watched Making a Murder, I now know his name is Andrew Colborn. Wow. In December 2016, I watched... okay. After I watched Making a Murder, I sent a text message to Scott Toddick. Having reviewed a saved copy of that message, I now know that I sent it December 12, 2016 at 6:13 p.m. In a message, I told Scott that I had seen Teresa Halbach's car in Mishicot on November 4, 2005, and told the officer in the Cenex station. On December 19, 2016, I sent Toddick another message. I never heard back from Scott Toddick. Copies of the text message conversation I had with Scott Toddick are attached as Exhibit C to this affidavit. Nothing has been promised or given to me in exchange for this affidavit. So, that wasn't expected, I'm sure, by Colborn or Manitowoc County or anyone. So that's awesome information. That was part of the motion that Zellner wrote, that where we got information about how she was pointing the finger at Ryan Hilgis. You saw there in the text messages and how he tried, and Scott Toddick didn't seem too excited, or I don't know, just didn't seem like anything to him. He was sick, that was more important. And earlier when we read through the tweets, Scott Toddick was working at the smelter. So, what do you think? We'll go on here a little bit, and we're going to get back into Colborn, just about him reading the plates. Mr. Kratz argued that when Sergeant Colborn placed the phone call to Manitowoc County Dispatch from his cell phone, it was on November 3, 2005, following CCSD investigator Mark Wiegert call to Sergeant Colborn about Miss Halbach's disappearance. Mr. Kratz contended that Sergeant Colborn was simply verifying investigator Wiegert's information and not actually found Miss Halbach's vehicle. Mr. Kratz argued that Sergeant Colborn used the telephone rather than the radio because Mr. Avery had a police scanner. Sergeant Colborn called in Miss Halbach's plates on November 3 or November 4, 2005. Trial defense counsel suggested that Sergeant Colborn's call to dispatch regarding the license plate check on Miss Halbach's car was made either on November 3 or November 4, 2005, but more likely on November 4 because Sergeant Colborn called from his cell phone instead of his squad car radio. Trial defense counsel argued that the call was from November 4, 2005 because that was Sergeant Colborn's day off and he would not have been in his squad car. In their closing argument, trial defense counsel played both the Sergeant Colborn dispatch call tape and the MCSD Detective Dennis Jacobs tape from November 5, 2005 at 11:30 a.m. after Miss Halbach's vehicle was discovered. On the tape, Detective Jacobs asked if Mr. Avery was in custody yet. Okay, so back to Kevin's affidavit saying when he saw the car and when he told Colborn about it and when the car was actually found, regardless if it was 3 or 4, if that car was found or if someone saw that car, why wouldn't it be documented on that day and not on 5? You know, there's obviously something that needed to be done. Something needed to happen in order for the car to be found in the right place. And if Colborn's being told this directly and that information isn't there when it's directly told, it's hard not to think that Colborn had something to do with something in this case. And I have to talk in a speculative way because you can't just say, you know, they did it. We need to have the evidence. We need to have it all in front of us. We need a new trial. And, you know, we can look at it and be like, well, duh. But until we get that new trial and until it's all figured out, there's not much we can really do but just see all this information that we've seen for years now and be upset about it and, you know, just let it keep piling on because it's going to fall down on their heads soon. I promise you that. So I was going to show the Colborn reading or Strang playing the plates in the court, but you guys have seen it, and if you want to see that, you can go to my other Colborn video. It's in there. But yeah, you know, one more thing too I want to show here with Colborn is I talked about this in another video already, but this is supposedly Colborn's driveway from Google Maps. This is a white Jeep looking vehicle. A 1999 Isuzu Rodeo is pictured in the very bottom of that, and that is what it could possibly be. Google Maps captured an image in September 2009 of a 1999 Isuzu Rodeo in Andy Colborn's driveway. In 2005, it was not uncommon for Wisconsinites to refer to SUVs as Jeeps or trucks. So this goes back to Avery's neighbor saying he saw a white Jeep following something that looked like a RAV4, and only the Jeep came back out. I just want to put this out there, see if anyone can find any more information on this, because that's pretty crazy if that is his vehicle in his driveway. So this was from George Zipper's blog. That's what it's named. So you guys can go look for yourself, or if anyone knows anything else about the validity of this, I would love to know. What do you guys think? What do you think of all the tweets? What do you think of Kevin's affidavit? And yeah, you know, interesting stuff. Thank you guys for watching. I will hopefully get that video done with Air Cozy when I get back from California. And if you haven't subscribed yet, hit subscribe, bell notifications, and I will see you guys next time.